Nice. Okay.
Am I in here, Jonathan?
Oh, here we are now. Yeah, this is a webinar room rather than a Zoom room. So I just need to promote you all to panelists.
Okay.
It's a completely different way of. Morning, Brian. I can see.
Good morning.
Okay, let me just. I'm not as familiar with this room as the other way, but you should be showing off on video, and you're not. Hi, Kim.
Hi.
I recognize the cough. Why?
Great.
Why are you not panelists? Oh, wait a minute. Give me a second. How? I played with this last night and it worked perfectly. Got up this morning and my computer had restarted and it's different. Okay, a second. No, not that. Second, I can't. Whoever that was. Gifted. Oh, enable practice session. Reading all the screen settings. Post on panelists. Come on. Send invitation to panelists. Oh. Invitations. But it says send invitation to panelists, but you're already in.
We can get out.
Yeah, no, it's the way to leave. So you don't have a way of turning your videos on, do you?
No.
And you're recording all this.
Oh yeah, I can. We're not live, so
Yeah.
I'm getting terrible feedback. I think Brian needs to mute one of his options. Why is it not letting me do this? Is that all in? Come on, come on, come on. I can only assume it's because I'm not live. Let me add it into Facebook. Share page manage. Gifted. Preparing live stream.
Are you guys still getting feedback or no?
No. Okay, so then if I do this.
Are you still getting feedback?
Nope.
Sounds good now.
Okay, good.
That's okay. I'm going to press go live in the Facebook group and we'll see what happens. Hopefully it'll show. If not, I'm not sure. Interactive, what's that?
Why don't you stop the recording and restart it?
I can edit the recording because it's just on Zoom.
Okay.
But when we go live, it's different.
Okay.
There's actually no button to stop recording in the webinar like this. Okay, so if I bring up Gifted. Oops. Sorry about this, folks. We should be live on Facebook now.
It says live on Facebook.
Yeah. View stream on Facebook, which I can do. Just turn up any second. But can we see you all? That's the next question. 5 participants. Oh, here we go. Promote to panelist. There we go. Now I got it. Oh, so
Oh,
that
cool. All right.
technology is a wonderful thing. So we should be. There should be a little time delay, but it's about 10 or 15 seconds from Zoom to Facebook. But we should be live.
Excellent.
Everybody there?
I'm here.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, I realized left my office door open. All right, everybody. Good morning. If you're joining us live on Facebook, good for you. It's early. But the early bird catches the worm. And in this case, the early bird catches Kim, Paul, and Brian, who meet every week to talk about the publishing of the book. And one of the most stunning elements of any book is the story. But what often goes with the story is the illustration, the picture in your mind that actually takes you there in real life to what was going on. And that image just sticks with us. And if you need a great image, you need a great artist. And we have Brian. Hey, Brian.
Good morning.
Great.
Great to be with you guys this morning. Thank you, Jonathan.
So Paul and Kim found this amazing connection through a very wonderful way. And very difficult, I would imagine, to get into the minds of the authors and sort of visualize the story that they've been telling. But I know over the last 6 months or so, that's exactly what's been going on with you two, right?
Yeah, it's been an incredible journey and a whole lot of fun. And Brian, I don't want to speak for you. Please feel free. But I know it's been fun for Brian.
Yeah, we have had an absolute blast just working together. Rarely do you get an environment where you have two individuals, two authors that really know what they want and are so, they work so, Paul and Kim both work so cohesively together that it makes my job as an illustrator very simple. And it's been, obviously, with the modern trend in illustration, it's been really rewarding to kind of get back into it. So I've really appreciated this opportunity. It's been a fun time. So we're looking forward to sharing a little bit today with you guys as well. So
yes,
excited about.
Yeah. So let me be a fly on the wall. Let our audience who'll be watching it either live or later on be a fly on the wall. And over to you guys.
All right. We're ready, Brian.
Excellent. Are you able to see my screen? That's my first question. I'm not seeing the share screen. image here.
We see you.
You see me. Okay. What we're going to try to do is figure out how to get this screen share working quickly so that we can share some of these images. Are you presently seeing my computer?
No, we see you. We see your image.
Okay.
I see Jonathan's screen.
I do too.
Okay. All right, I'll stop that. Just making sure everybody can share the screen. So.
Is there a way that you can put my other, do you show 2 users on there?
I only show one, Brian. Let me see if
you
there's
do?
another user that I can. Oh, here we go. I apologize. Promote. There we go. Now that'll work.
All right, there we go. Sorry about that. I was going to ask about that, and I just got to the point where.
We got you, right? You have 2 users. Yes.
There we go. Okay. Hopefully you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, we gotcha.
An image. Okay, wonderful. We're up and going. So appreciate your patience. So this week we're actually talking a little bit about our finalizing our images, and some of the images that we have are, every chapter has a specific illustration that we wanted to highlight. And today we're on one of the later chapters. I'm not going to give it away. Don't want to preface anything, but we're basically working on finalizing some of the character development through the illustrations. And for some of you that are starting out maybe in illustrating, illustrations are meant to capture the moment, or a moment where you can't necessarily capture, you know, the image on camera. So maybe it shows motion, maybe it shows animatronics in terms of human form, but whatever that is, obviously, if you're starting out or if you want to do illustration, I know there's a lot of you out there that possibly do. A lot of you that like to read or write, but don't necessarily know how to illustrate. Hopefully today we can give you a few tips and kind of help you out and give you an inside look at how this comes together. But this is basically a moment in the book, and Kim, I'll let you kind of talk about it, because you and both your Paul's perspective are very important in this illustration, and kind of tell us what's happening here. So.
Well, in this, what we're trying to capture is Charlotte's strength. We haven't revealed Charlotte and who she is. But Charlotte has the gift of will, and she has in her raised hand the physical gift that represents her gift of will. So there is a segment in the book where she has to be incredibly strong and focused, and that's what we're trying to capture in this image. And Brian, I really love what you've done with her face this week.
Great, excellent. Yeah, we've been working, I think this is 4th or 5th rendition of basically what Charlotte needs to look like. And it's not necessarily, at some point, all 3 minds came together and I felt like we finally got there. But it was a beautiful process wherein we were trying to discover how to depict her a little bit more in terms of a human character and not necessarily a superhero. We have a lot of superhero-ish type trends happening right now, and I love the input both you and Paul gave me, because I was able to kind of get to the point where we had a human element, but it was expressing some strength and power at the same time. So, and Kim, do you want? I mean, Paul, do you have any thoughts on this as well in terms of?
Well, okay, so I guess if we jump into this, I can see that we talked last week about adapting the suits of armor so that they weren't so scary looking. It looks like you've done that. So maybe if you want to start and just talk about what you've done and what you're thinking, and we can just go from there.
Okay. All right. Great. Yeah. I think they were a little bit on the right-hand side is one of our older knights, and it's a little bit more fluid, maybe a little bit too human. And so in the book, there's actually a portion where Charlotte is faced with a lot of different conflicts In fact, it gets to the point where she has to basically perform for the better sake of the group. But in this instance, basically trying to capture a suit of armor that's not coming alive and then attacking her at the same time. She's got these gargoyles that fly around as well. So very, very powerful moment, and one of my favorite moments of the whole book. So so as an illustrator, I'm taking some of my favorite moments and trying to depict those in the best form I can. And the reason it's my favorite is because the writing's so well done throughout these last few chapters. It just gets so rich. And the overall creativity and the imagination that goes into it, I think, is really what captured me as a fan, definitely as a fan. So looking at the suit of armor, I took out some of the human elements of it. It's now just metal. We spoke a little bit about referencing other movies or maybe other instances where we saw suits of armor come alive, and where this one doesn't have the cloth. I think it's trying to obtain that. This one on the far right side's got a little bit more cloth to it, so it looks a little bit more human, and we'll remove some of that to get it down to the suit of armor, like this one on the left. So, but yeah.
So, Brian, I'm sorry, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So I'm noticing too in this illustration that you've added the white kind of swirl and towards the gargoyle, kind of around Charlotte and towards the gargoyle. And I'm assuming that you're working on kind of developing that feeling of chaos and a lot of motion going around. Is that where you're going with that?
Right. Yeah, that's so every image will have a background. It will have something that's happening in the foreground as well. And so it's very hard to capture motion in one frame. And so, yeah, exactly, Kim, we're trying to capture a little bit about this struggle between conflict between good and bad, or a conflict between that tension, and how she's using her actual gift to overcome that. And it's Charlotte's moment, and I really love this moment. I think there's a few other conflicts too that we won't necessarily give away, but the bottom line is that this is her moment. This is her kind of her coming about moment in terms of tapping into her inner strength and realizing that her mental capacity and her will can overcome any adversity she's faced with. So how we depict that would be brush strokes like you're seeing. Now the background is yellow simply from an artist's perspective to kind of give your drawing a little bit more depth so you can start to see some of the motion. And so the actual illustration will have a white background with these strokes, these wider strokes, as part of that, to answer your question. So.
Okay.
And if I may add, Brian just talked about Charlotte's gift, and obviously we're looking at one piece of the drawing, but if you look in Charlotte's hand above her head, we see her gift. Now, Charlotte is yet to be revealed in the book for us on a Facebook perspective, but we know that the first three characters we've talked about were all given a very specific gift and the ability to use that gift for helping them during the journey. And in this instance, I guess we could go back to Paul and Kim. It looks like Charlotte has some keys.
Correct.
So stay tuned for a Charlotte reveal one day, very soon.
Yeah.
Find out about why she would be given some keys.
Okay, so Brian, last week we talked about the keys, and I'm not sure if you've done anything with them or if this, because Kim, did you mention to have the keys larger?
Yeah, they do look larger to me. I think what is blocking the view is the gargoyle. Are you able to take that gargoyle out right now, Brian, so we can see that? Okay, that's really helpful. Thank you. This isn't exactly what I imagined, but I like this because you can see the keys, the details in the keys, And as long as that comes through in the final illustration, that is sufficient for me. I don't know how you feel about it, Paul.
Yeah, I liked, if I remember from last week, I think a bit of the cord showed around her wrist, and I think I liked that.
Yeah.
So
we can do a cord with some keys on it as well. I figured having some keys out here, there, and then the cord kind of coming down, and maybe doing something like that where it kind of falls down.
Yeah. But
Okay.
I really like what you've done with the keys.
Yeah. And with this, I guess with this zoomed in, didn't we talk about her eyes last week? Are you good with that, Kim?
I like her eyes.
Okay.
I do like her eyes.
Yeah, they look good.
Mm-hmm.
If only people could know the context of the story and what was happening at this very moment and how crucial Charlotte's role was in this chapter. But you'll have to wait and read Gifted.
Yeah, I really like what you've done with her face. I think you've really captured the intensity in her face, and yet she's still soft, if that makes sense. I think without saying too much, when I look in this face, I can feel what Charlotte was feeling at that moment.
Excellent.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, I like it. I think we finally got it.
Yeah.
I think if Brian, if you just move forward with finishing with her, I think that'd be great.
Okay.
I guess if do we want to talk more about Charlotte or move on? Or do you have any other questions, Brian, about?
I think it's a little bit fun to talk about how we came up with the idea behind the illustration around Charlotte, if you're okay with that.
Sure.
I think it was a really organic process. It was really fun. Kim and I started out personally because I'm a huge superhero fan. I started out with those type of illustrations. And then we got into how human and how real this needed to be, where they're not full of superhuman strength. They're just tapping into our natural abilities as humans to overcome adversity and to really rise above the conflict. So one of the funniest things about this is one day I'm sitting there trying to figure out how to capture that, whether it's a person doing yoga or whether it's somebody, naturally in the environment, but how do you express strength mentally? And it all came down to the face. I was watching an episode of some captures, sports highlights on TV, and a certain tennis player came on and she was actually so expressive in the game that her motions and her facial expressions were so powerful that I was like, that's it. That's exactly it. We need that competitive spirit captured on the screen somehow in the illustration. And so that was kind of the source of the motivation in terms of getting her face right and getting her body language as well correct. So, but kind of a fun little moment where you go completely, you test the book, so to speak, and you put it out there in the universe and it comes back to you. You get the opportunity to receive the help you're asking for because you put it out there. And so I guess if anything, that really just emphasized to me that if you're struggling with something in life, go to those sources, go to the resources you have and put it out there. Seek advice, try to find the help you get, and it will come to you. So really neat moment. And I love that because it's kind of Charlotte's moment. So, but.
Well, I think that's a perfect segue for me to leave, let you guys get on with the real work of getting this book documented and illustrated and eventually wrapped up and sent to the publishers. So hopefully our live Facebook has worked. I can't see because I'm in a recording studio here with the Zoom panel. But I know it's recording. So all being well, we'll have this ready. And we're going to do a lot more of this within our Facebook group, everybody. which officially launches next week. There's going to be a lot more material behind the scenes and access to Kim and Paul in the group. So, but if you do nothing else, join the group, because that's going to be the hottest place to find out everything that's going on. And the website is now live, readgifted.com. The characters that we talked about already are revealed on the website. More to come, 3 more to come. And then the group is coming with it. So we will talk to you again real soon. Okay, I'll say goodbye.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.